For a long time he was in celibate. Brahmanjari. Only Brahman. Brahman. But unpredictable as it is, temptation. What does it do? Boom! The horn is growing. Good. Yeah, Jonas. Jonah.
No. This process you just mentioned of opening the back doors, did it start after this experience you were talking about a few days ago?
No, after that experience. Or life experience. I rather call it life experience. Being that what is not depending on any presence or absence. This is like everything for what you are is a that experience.
So being absolute flexibility, you don't have to have this experience, is it important? No.
It's not by having it, but if you could just be it now, there would be no problem. But you still want to be it. That's your problem. You're in love with it. That love makes you two. So that's why it's called your heart has to be broken, and a broken heart is the self not knowing the self. There is no lover and no beloved. You are absolutely without a second. And only you can be it. No one can be it for you. And there is no possibility of anyone who can attain that. That kingdom of what you are, that heart, never allows any ownership. It will never be yours or mine or anyone's. So if you could just be now what you are, it would be fine. But even the attempt that you drops in mind is one too many. It drops when it drops, because it came by itself, it will be dropped by itself, and not by your wanting it to drop. So all happens by itself. The self, the reality realizing itself, the way it's realizing itself. So in that selflessness, out of the self appeared, so it comes and it goes. So it's already an expiring date. Like this phantom you believe to be, it came and it will be gone. But what you are will still be what it is. And so if you could just make that absolute shift, that never needs to shift, because for what you are there is no shift. You were, you are, and you will be that. But the one who believes in shifts, he will stay forever. So if it's by grace, it drops just by that, why not? But if you have to make a detour, a total detour to all the 7 seas or whatever, you have to do it. But who cares how long it takes? It will happen anyway. Because that what appeared as a phantom will be gone. It's already a fleeting shadow now, so it's an expiring date on it. It's already gone. So you already where, which was before, now and then. So it's a direct path just by being it, or you have to make a little detour. But both is okay, or not. Because what you are will not be harmed by it. You will not be less by making a little detour. It's like a sightseeing tour. Vipassana training there, some Wu Am I there, some meditation there. It's like a sightseeing, just in case.
Insurance.
Yeah. Insurance? No, you will always make a sightseeing tour. There is no insurance. You will never be sure enough.
How did you notice that your back door was open?
By listening to you. And not killing you right away. So it's always like you people from the beginning here, 20 years ago, sitting here in Ushas and sitting harmlessly there talking about something, and suddenly there were 20 people around. So okay. And they all came from Lucknow. Really full of... The most funny circumstance was there was Bharat sitting next door. Bharat, not Bharat Mitra. Bharat. And he was running. There was, I think, 5 just young guys from the military from Israel being around him. And he was teaching, starting to teach whatever, I think. And then they made the absolute teaching for him like. And then one of them looked at him, how long are you in India with him? 15 years, 10, 15 years, and you're still not realized? What are you talking about? No, I have no idea. No, I had the time where I was walking around like Jesus with something and wanting to teach everybody. Yeah, absolutely. I experience myself as the eternal light, uninterrupted, the light I am. Be a light for yourself and blah blah blah.
Really?
Absolutely. I was the biggest party pooper I would never meet. I wanted to tell everybody who he is. Because I thought I knew my true nature. That's why I can talk about it, what people talk about. Because I went through all that bullshit too.
This was after the death experience?
Absolutely. Because you're saying you're light. You're delighted by yourself. You're totally delighted, and that's the biggest lie, because you believe you are something independent or whatever. So you're totally delighted. You lie to yourself as that. So that even that is a lie experience.
Realize.
You realize, yeah. It's a real lie. Taking yourself as that reality which is realizing itself, even that is a lie. Because that is quite something. So you are the light, and your vibration is creating the whole universe, because you are the light in action. All of that. Then you are that. Wow. You're so full of yourself, and that's really the biggest fooling yourself ever. Then you want to tell everybody, you become like a messiah. You are light, you're not the body, you are not that, you're not that. And I did the same, I know that. The trap is so deep.
Buddha did the speech of the Buddha.
Yeah.
He was so full of himself that the first guy he met just said, good luck, and walked off.
Yeah. No, it's a phase you have to go through. Like even cities come and go. By that way you have this concentration possibility. You can, when you walk a walkway, you just look at the heart chakra or something, they all jump away. You just make your way through the biggest crowd just by concentrating. All that is this. Having the city things, it's a side effect. It comes. And when you're lucky, it goes. Some are not lucky, it stays.
Some are stupid and talk about it.
And they use it.
Yeah.
And then, because the nature of manipulation is whatever you manipulate, manipulates you. It's a two-way. It's not a one-way direction, it's a two-way. If you want to control the universe or whatever surrounding, the surrounding controls you. It's the one you cannot escape. So if you want to control the mind controls you. If you want to control your neighbors, the neighbor controls you. So the cities are... Well,
But this is the big thing in here now, that some of the people don't realise that the biggest egos have the best realization sometimes.
Yeah.
The most authentic realization.
The bigger me.
The bigger me.
No, and then you feel that around. It's like a Shakti around them and cities, and they can manipulate and all of that. And that are side effects of their whatever. And then they say a jnani, you don't even feel that he is there. You cannot. There is no, because there's... But that what you can feel is maybe still one full of... But even that doesn't make you less or more. But it's like a trap, a big trap. Even for the one who has cities and using them and thinking I can, by my Shakti, I can bring someone closer to himself or transmitting something. Everyone, I think even Papaji went through that. Until he saw it as all bullshit, what can be transmitted. I think as the last 3 years I agree with him. Before I would say, what is this?
With Papaji?
Yeah.
The last 3 years you just told people to dance.
Yeah, that's why I agreed with him. Before he was transmitting something.
Before he thought he was transmitting?
Yeah. No, I saw it in the one video. He tried to transmit something. Going through the act like initiating something.
It was much, much entertaining.
Yeah, and then I think he really resigned from that. He was quite fed up from all that.
I suppose it was Tony's song that was the last straw.
The what?
Probably Tony's song was the last straw.
I would be fed up too.
Would you?
He was so out of tone, the tone.
He should have intoned it, it would have been more powerful. It's a mantra after all. Or is it
And then this song, Shiva Shambhu. What?
Why did you stop to be Messiah?
Too messy.
I just became too lazy. I was saved by laziness. If you ask me. Because laziness is what I am. And all the doings they exhaust you, and you burn, and you do, and all the cities you have, they come back to you. It's like echoing you. They come to you, and then you burn in it, and all your body experiences, because it was so intense, this bloody Shakti thing, that I could read under the blanket a book, because the lighting coming out of the bloody body. Who wants that all the time? You cannot sleep anymore. For 5 years I could not sleep. There was no sleeping. Just this bloody awareness light, and the body was bone breaking and thing and lightening, and the whole is like fireflies in the room. Everything was gluing and thing, and so much fucking light. Shut up. No, it's not. You don't want that. You look for it, but when it happens, you cannot sleep. Let me sleep.
Is it still here, no?
What?
Your light.
What?
Your light, is it still here for you?
What? My light?
Light.
What light?
We're talking about right now.
I'm totally delighted that I don't need that bloody light. But then I was delighted and blinded by my own light.
So laziness opened your back door, or?
There was no back door to open. Trying to open your back door, you close it. He takes it, what I say literally, and then really has a house. He takes himself as a house with an open front door, and then where's my back door? CD. You know, now I have a CD collection with all the music at home. That's CDs I like. But not no, when you really ask me, I enjoy nothing more than the helplessness of what I am. Being absolutely helpless and totally in no control at all with anything. I'm just like just being a leaf in the wind of myself. Wherever the wind blows is blowing in the wind. That's whatever. This joy of helplessness, that is the peace, you cannot compare with any control you can have. With all cities and transmission, being a guru and transmitter of Shakti and peace, and all that peace of, who fucking needs all of that? Fuck it all, who thinks you're a good guru and in your presence someone is quiet or feels good. That you don't have to please anyone, including yourself. Nothing is more pleasing. As being that what never needs to be
insulting.
Huh? What?
Then you discovered the technique of insulting.
I cannot insult myself. I try, but I never succeed. People can be insulted by I give a shit about people anyway. But I can never insult my people. I can never make myself offended. I try very hard to offend myself. But it's always smiling in front of me. And I can be very offensive, but it doesn't care. Just carelessness. So I enjoy that I try just in case, but I cannot succeed. What can I do to make that carelessness care? No way.
Is Karl sometimes offended? Still today?
Permanent. Karl in his nature is an offense to myself. That there is a Karl is a permanent offense. offended that I have to carry this shit factory with me. It's a total offense. Especially when I was so delighted by being light. I was waking up in that shit factory again. Why do I have to wake up in that shit factory when I'm pure light? Shit! So, such shit ananda here. I like all the superior masters of art, the heart master. I always imagine them sitting on the toilet and being constipated. Can they take that?
That's what your middle finger's for.
Good. Yeah.
Do all people, all beings have that same path with going through these stages? Or 7 billion humans on Earth, 7 billion or maybe 9, I don't know how many now.
I tell you,
There's
consciousness
different
doesn't.
ways.
They're
Consciousness
just.
creates different ways.
No, they're just. Consciousness tries in all of them to know it itself, like by whatever way. So that's why so many it get never enough from, because you can say they're all crash test dummies. They're just crash test dummies for consciousness. Just if one survives that crash, it's enough. But the rest is just in case. They try that one or that one. So if there is one or two, it's enough for the self to be the self. Whatever it is. It doesn't need a quantity of awakenings or something. But it tries in everyone. The grace works everywhere. In the same intensity. It's blind because it wants this peace, that consciousness of knowing itself. And it works everywhere. In plants and in the whole universe. The whole universe is the intention of love. Loving, caring, and trying to know the beloved. The whole universe is made for it. So even the 7 or 8 billion people are just tools of consciousness trying to know itself, or as part of the self-inquiry of consciousness. So consciousness is permanently inquiring into its nature. That's the way you realize yourself. So what you are, reality, is realizing itself in self-inquiry. And it's using all possibilities. Flowers, things, and moon, and stars, all of that is because there's a self-inquiry of self. The self-inquiring into his nature. Always I am what, I am who. That's why Ramana make it, if you want to go to that what is reality, go the same way you come out, go back. So not I am who, I am what, like this. So who am I? But then to be the answer of that is one answer to many. So if you take it personal then again, as you cannot, and only by grace, there is no one who can take it anymore, or want to take it. And then the laziness and carelessness, which was always there, is what you are anyway. So the question can be made thousands of years, but if it's not meant to work, it will not work. And if it's meant to work, it will ask you one time, and it's already done. So whatever is meant to happen will happen, and even that, what is not part of, actually not meant to happen, can happen. This paradox. That the self who never needs to know itself, just is the self, by accident again. By accident it takes itself as something, by accident it drops it. But not by need. There's no necessity of it. Never was, never will be. So it happens, or not. And when it happens, it's meant to happen. And it's not meant not to happen, it doesn't happen, it's meant not to happen. But I tell you, it will always happen. Because whatever came will be gone one day, sooner or later. But who cares when? Just the message is, it will be gone. So because it's not real, it will be gone. It's not even there now, because that what will be gone is not even now. That what you are is in coming, not coming, and in going, not going. So just be that. So be as absolute as you are. And not knowing what is absolute and what is not absolute. That's being absolute. So, but as I said, in that time I knew myself as the absolute. So by knowing that I'm the Absolute and being the light, I was becoming Messiah. That was like Jesus. What to do? Then it drops by grace alone. I tell you, and then the first 2 weeks here on the mountain, then it was like the final cut. Because that it showed me that light is just another imaginary experience. Because I came to this mountain because it thought this is the light I'm looking for. Because I'm the light, I'm going to the light. So, going to the Virupakshina, and sitting there and going by whatever, because I was trained to disconnect this bloody perception from the body, from this shit factory, by all that not sleeping, by all the migraine, because it was the only way that you can deal with that pain or whatever. So disconnecting from the body would just become, then you disconnect, go into the mountain, as you train, city, tralala, you can travel with your perception wherever you want, shamanistic bullshit. You go into the mountain and then you see the mountain is pure light, the light of Shiva. And out of this mountain the whole universe is springing. It's like everything is coming out of the light, taking a form. Out of the formless light and the light itself is vibrating in different forms. And it's like a very wonderful scenery. The whole universe, all the stars, all the suns, the whole cosmos, full coming out of this mountain. Always the light creating all universes and things. And the most creation itself. But then in one split second, like, oh, shit. It's an experience. Like, it's not what I am. Even that is not my home. So even light is not that what is home. That broke the last whatever. Home idea. So the light of Shiva is not Shiva. Awareness is not what I am. Okay, so if I'm not that, then the shit factory is as good as the light. Then who cares about being in a shit factory or in a shit light factory? Then if that is a light shit factory or this is all the shit happens. So even the experience of light is only an imaginary dream.
So it's uncomfortable.
No, it's neither comfortable or discomfortable. It's more comfortable being light than being the crossbody. Being this crossbody is shit. Being the light, you're delighted for that phantom thing. So, but even if that is shit, speaking like a dream experience, even that cannot give you the home you're longing for. So this homelessness, which then is what you are. In that homelessness, you simply are that what never needed a home, which is just with and without any whatever you experience. But until then, my home was light. But if that is even a fleeting, temporary presence, so who cares? That carelessness, homelessness, which is your nature, because what you are never needed any home, and then you rest in that restlessness, being that what never needs to rest in anything, just by being what you are. And before you try to rest in the best possible place. And the best place is light. Because there's no pain, there's no suffering, there's already quite, it's nice, very nice. You're pleased by that. Wow, like a wellness life, wellness existence, wow. But even that is a dream existence. And it's temporary, as everything. Because you will shift back to the shit factory if you like it or not. And if you cannot be in the shit factory, what you are not. This all is, if this is your absolute home, by being that what you are. But there is no one at home. In that no one can be at home. It cannot be a special home. So what to do? So, that's it.
So there's still an I sense then, that's experiencing the light?
Yeah, there's the one who is like the last lie, the liar experience, lie to him to be light. So, but that's the beginning and the end of the liar. There is only a lie or a liar when he takes himself as something. So the last identification then rooting out that, whatever, identification, needs the absolute dentist.
Absolutely.
Dentist. And only you can be the absolute dentist. Rooting.
So that I sense, the I sense, where he talks about the I, that I sense, does that have to go away, or to the self, what I am, it doesn't matter if it's there or not there?
For what you are, you cannot get rid of it.
You cannot get rid of it.
It's the way you realize yourself. You realize yourself as an identified lover. Then loving and then the beloved. Or the hater. The hating and the hated. The seer. The seeing and the seen. So the whole scenery of realization is what you are. But you are not the seer who is different from what is seen. So there is no need of becoming one with anything.
Right.
Because you are already that what is without a second. So, but any moment you try to become one, you confirm that there is one who needs to be one with something else, so you confirm something. So if you want to be one with light, you still you are needy, whatever I, who needs to be one with something. So that is like, there's no satisfaction in it.
So I find that in my life, most of the time, I would say most of the time, there's definitely a sense of peace and a sense of space. And I don't feel that I'm creating it, so to speak. It's just here.
No, that's I and the I am.
Yeah,
That's the light and the space. It's already the I amness. That is uninterrupted.
It's uninterrupted.
Yeah, but that what is uninterrupted is different from that what is interrupted. So it cannot be what you are.
Cannot be what you
I know it's nicer than I am the body. The body experience is compared to that is sickness experience.
Yes.
So it's quite easy or quite, it seems to be natural to be the I am.
It does seem to be natural, yeah.
Yeah, it is natural. But then taking that natural, that as natural, taking that being the body as unnatural, then you make a difference.
Right.
And who has a preference?
Right.
So you think I am is more peaceful than I am the body.
Right.
I am is more peaceful than I am the mind. So you'd have to define what is better.
Yeah.
So you have a preference. That is the I, the relative I. So even the preference of being impersonal can only be with one who have a preference of impersonal, which is different.
Right.
So that you cannot escape, and that's a phantom who has preferences. But if you would depend on the phantom should be uninterrupted. But what you are is with and without the phantom.
With and without the phantom.
Yeah. There is no bridge to what you are. So you cannot even influence the phantom, because you are not part of the phantom world. You are not in the dream. You are the para-Brahman who is never in the dream, so you have no influence. Even if you are the absolute dreamer, you cannot dream before you dream what you dream. That's the helplessness of the para-Brahman. Yeah. Like God, like we had this Schopenhauer in Germany, was what God cannot want what God wants. That's the freedom of God. Being free from will. It's the freedom, the freedom of being not free, not needing freedom, or cannot. So that's why the meditation, if someone asks me, meditation, just try to think before you think what you think. And then that doesn't work, try to think in Mongolian. In Mongolian. Try, just try. It's like an impossibility because you don't know even the word I in Mongolian. So you...
Maybe she does.
Natural, yeah. No, she's from Uzbek.